Let me ask you something I hear whispered in my clinic more than almost any other question. What actually happens to your body when you stop having sex after 60? Not by choice necessarily. Sometimes life just gets in the way. A partner's illness. A relationship that changed. Loneliness that crept in quietly. Or simply a body that started feeling less reliable, and the easiest response was to stop trying altogether. If that is where you are right now, or where you have been for longer than you want to admit, I want you to hear something before we go any further. You are not alone in this. Not even close. And what is happening to your body during that silence is something every man over 60 deserves to understand. Not to feel shame about it, but to make an informed choice about what comes next. I'm Dr. Elena Martinez, a urologist who has spent 10 years working with men who want to age with clarity and confidence. And today I want to have the conversation most doctors skip entirely, because they assume you have already made peace with it, or because they simply don't have time to go where the real questions live. Before we go further, if you appreciate honest conversations like this, hit the like button. It helps more men find this video when they need it most. Drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. I read every single one. And if you haven't subscribed yet, this channel exists for exactly the conversations nobody else is finishing. All right, let's talk about what actually happens when sexual activity stops after 60. Most men assume the answer is nothing. That the body simply adjusts, quiets down, accepts the new normal without complaint. The body does not work that way. Your sexual system, the vascular pathways, the nerve signals, the hormonal cycles that support sexual function, was designed to be used regularly, consistently. And like every other system in your body that was designed for use, it responds to inactivity in specific, measurable ways. Let me explain what actually happens inside your body when sexual activity stops. The first thing that changes is blood flow. During sexual activity and ejaculation, blood surges through the vessels that supply the pelvic region, including the tissue that supports erectile function. That surge exercises those vessels, keeps them flexible, keeps them responsive. When the surge stops happening regularly, those vessels begin to narrow. Not dramatically at first, just slightly, just enough that the next time the system is called upon, the response is slower, weaker, less predictable. Think of it like a river that used to flow strongly through a valley. When the flow reduces, sediment begins to settle. The channel narrows. And when the rains finally come again, the water moves more slowly than it used to. The river remembers the drought. Your vascular system remembers inactivity the same way. The second change happens in the nervous system. The nerve pathways that carry sensation and arousal signals require regular activation to stay sensitive. When those pathways go unused for extended periods, months, sometimes years, their sensitivity decreases. Not permanently, but meaningfully. Men who have been sexually inactive for a long time often describe the experience of returning to intimacy as feeling different than they expected. Less immediate, less intuitive, like trying to remember a language you used to speak fluently. The good news, and there is genuinely good news here, is that nerve pathways respond to reactivation. They are not gone. They are dormant. And dormant is very different from finished. I want to tell you about a patient I see regularly in my practice. He is 71 years old. His wife passed away 3 years ago after a long illness. During the 2 years she was sick and the year after she was gone, sexual activity stopped completely. He came to see me not because of a specific complaint, but because he wanted to understand what had changed in his body and whether any of it could change back. He said something I have thought about many times since. He said, "I don't know if I want to be intimate again, but I want to know if I still could be. If I wanted to." That question deserves a real answer. The answer is yes. For almost every man, regardless of how long the pause has been. But the body needs support to get there. And the longer the pause, the more intentional that support needs to be. Does any of this sound familiar? Tell me in the comments. Even just a word. I read everything. Now let me walk you through what I actually see happening in men who have been sexually inactive for extended periods, and what changes when they decide to re-engage with this part of their health. The first thing most men notice when they begin reactivating the system is that morning erections return before anything else does. This surprises almost everyone. Morning erections are not about desire or arousal. They are the body's automatic overnight maintenance cycle, the vascular system running a self-check while you sleep. When the system has been dormant, those overnight cycles become less complete, less frequent, sometimes absent entirely. But when blood flow support returns, when the vascular pathways start receiving regular activation again, the overnight cycle begins completing more fully. And men wake up differently. Before anything else changes. Before confidence returns. Before intimacy of any kind has happened. The morning erection is the body's first signal that it remembers how to do this. For men asking about natural support during this reactivation process, I've left something in the description specifically for men over 60 navigating exactly this kind of return. Worth reading before you scroll past it. The second thing that changes when men re-engage is something that surprised me when I first started seeing it consistently in my practice. Their energy changes. Not dramatically. Not overnight. But men who reintroduce regular sexual activity after a long pause consistently report feeling more motivated, more present, clearer in the mornings, more engaged with their lives in ways that have nothing to do with intimacy directly. This is not coincidence. The hormonal and neurological systems that support sexual function overlap significantly with the systems that support vitality, mood, and motivation. When one wakes up, the others tend to follow. Think of it like turning on one light in a house that has been dark for a long time. You don't flood every room immediately, but suddenly the hallway is visible. And from the hallway, you can see the doors. The third change is the one most men don't expect at all. Their relationship with themselves shifts. Men who have been carrying the quiet weight of sexual inactivity, whether from loss, from a body that felt unreliable, from simply not knowing how to begin again, often describe a specific kind of heaviness. A sense of a part of themselves that has gone quiet in a way they didn't choose and don't know how to undo. When that part begins to wake up, even slowly, even imperfectly, something else wakes up with it. A sense of being whole again. Of being the version of themselves that they recognize. That is not a small thing. That is everything. That link in the description. Read it today. A lot of men your age found it at a moment exactly like this one, when they were ready to stop accepting silence as the only option. I want to say something before I go that I mean completely. If you have been in that silence, whether for months or for years, you did not fail. You adapted to circumstances that were genuinely hard. You carried something heavy without complaint and without help. But adaptation is not the same as acceptance, and silence is not the same as peace. Your body has not forgotten. It has been waiting. And waiting, as it turns out, is something the body is remarkably patient about, as long as you are willing to begin again. Tell me in the comments, how long has it been? You don't have to say why. Just the time. I read every single one and I answer as many as I can. If this conversation helped you, hit like. It helps other men find this when they need it. Subscribe so we can keep having the conversations most doctors never finish. And if you know a man who has been carrying this quietly, share this with him. Sometimes the most important thing we can do for someone is hand them a conversation they didn't know they needed. I'm Dr. Elena Martinez. And I'm here to remind you, your body is not finished. It is waiting for you to begin again. Take care of yourself. You are worth it.